Best of Breed is primarily focused on a singular workflow, and the goal is to essentially accomplish the ins and outs of that workflow with ease of use, providing tremendous value to the client. All-in-one is more so catered towards an entire sector or segment of the industry. So in construction, you can have an all-in-one for the construction phase, and they're focusing on multiple workflows. And usually the challenge with that is they don't do a good job on all those workflows. They may touch on singular points, but they don't really go deep into the full process and how it should be done. So that's usually what you see between Best in Breed and Enterprise, where Best in Breed is very singular focused, user focused, whereas all-in-one is more encompassing as a segment or an industry. So the cost model for all-in-ones is usually pretty high. You can't really find their pricing on their website. It's more so of a negotiated cost with the client and the vendor. And oftentimes they're selling top down. And in those situations, you sometimes don't have the end users actually trying out the program. It's more so, what does it offer and how much does it cost? And you end up in that negotiation. When it comes to point solution, a lot of times it's so easy to access. You can download from the App Store just like you can with Raycon. You can contact our sales reps, you can go to the website and purchase it. And the pricing is visible, there's no friction, and it's easy. You can pay with a credit card. It's usually $12 to $37 per month, and it's easy to go. So those are the main differences that you'll notice. It's much more easier to utilize something as a point solution just because of the frictionless pricing, along with the singular focus on that workflow. You know, our users are looking for something specific when it comes to daily reports and time cards, and we provide that with our solution so that they can get value out of it. Traditionally, construction tech has been predominantly all-in-ones. And the goal was obviously to digitize workflows. And what they saw was a bunch of paper workflows, and they're like, all right, we're going to digitize this with our solution. But they never considered the human aspect of the experience aspect of it. A lot of the solutions out there are very form fields. There's no workflow tied to it. So what ends up happening is you have this inflated solution that says it does all those things, but the workflow part doesn't match up. And that's the challenging part, because when you actually deploy that software to the end users, they have a hard time following through on the workflow because it's just so complicated. In the last 4 to 5 years, especially with the increase in mobile apps and tablets, we're seeing a plethora of point solutions come up, including Raycon, and our focus has been on the foreman, superintendent, the field, making sure that they're front and center and understanding their needs. I personally came from a construction background. I actually used all-in-ones back in the day and realized both the pros and the cons of it. And I saw the field aspect, that segment of the industry struggling with those all-in-ones, just because it wasn't designed with them in mind. It's very desktop-centric. And with these mobile solutions, it lends itself really well to the superintendents, just because these guys are out in the field all day long. They're not in front of a computer looking at a desktop. They can access Raycon through their mobile app, walk around, capture all their daily progress, manpower issues, safety notes. The weather's automatically captured, which makes it super easy. Plus, the report itself is very easy to read. It's digestible. It's very photocentric, and we make it collaborative. We can share that with your teammates. You can share that with your stakeholders. You can also collect and collate all of the dailies from your subcontractors, which is a big challenge, especially for general contractors overseeing multiple big projects. So we make it easy, simple, and we focus on those workflows and focus on that primary persona, which is that field, while we also improve the flow of information from the field back to the office. The biggest thing with technology, especially in the field and in construction, is you want to make sure the end user adoption is high. The goal of using construction tech is to make sure these projects move forward, and instead of burdening them with technology or solutions that are not helping with that forward progress, you're seeing more and more end users kind of gravitate towards these point solutions, just because it's simple, easy to use, and they can get their job done quickly. So from a CEO standpoint, we've encountered this dilemma where they've invested all this money on this all-in-one, and they struggle to understand why the field or the office sometimes are not using it, because they never considered the human aspect of this technology. Hey, how does it actually work? What is the workflow? Do I know how my project manager and my superintendent actually do their RFIs, submittals, daily reports, time cards? That aspect was never considered. It was mostly something that was sold to them that, hey, it does all these things, plus it's just one solution and you can just pay once. What you're noticing now is they're shifting the way they review technologies. They actually want to get end user participation because they're realizing they're making a big investment. And for that investment to be secure, they want to make sure it's actually used widely. And what ends up happening is they pick the simplest solutions. They pick the solution that's right for the persona or the end user. So in our case, it's the superintendent foreman. And they're picking Raykin because it's simple and easy for them to use. And we also integrate with some of the all-in-one solutions out there. And what you're noticing with all these other point solutions, that they also have integration opportunities. They have open APIs. So you can use Raykin while you use StructionSite, while you use Procore. And ideally, you kind of connect all those solutions together so they're all talking and providing best-in-class experiences for the end user, while you can connect all of it with a business intelligence solution, like a Construction BI or Power BI or Domo, and leverage those reports, leverage that big data that you may want to capture. So that shift is happening where CEOs are becoming more human-centric because they're getting the feedback from their supers and foremans, and they want to make sure that these guys are happy, that they have long, fruitful careers at their companies, and the focus is now on them so that it's simple and easy for them to utilize what they want to use, and then figure out a way to connect all those solutions and get those reports that they so desire. I would say the biggest advantage being a point solution is the focus. You have a singular focus in mind, and for us, it's always been, how do we improve the lives of superintendents and foremen? We realized early on that these guys are the most underserved when it comes to their technology needs, and we kind of shifted the focus on them and made sure that our solution, when it comes to daily reports, time cards, safety, and whatnot, caters to the way they operate. Making sure it's simple, making sure it's mobile first, making sure it's recognizable in the workflows that they do. A lot of what we're doing is recreating that paper workflow, but digitally. But in the process of making it digital, we're removing a lot of steps and barriers like scanning and sharing with the office, putting in binders and whatnot. So we make it simple, we make it collaborative, we make it easy. So the focus is probably the most important thing, just because we know our audience really well. And the other thing I would say is we can pivot pretty quickly, just because of that focus. We're not, focusing on 15 different things and 15 different personas. If something's wrong, we can pivot, make those corrections, and still satisfy the needs of our client. A disadvantage from a point solution, I would say, sometimes it takes a bit longer to scale, just because most people are kind of looking for all-in-ones and they're slowly shifting their mindset. But with that, once you start scaling and you kind of reach a tipping point, it just kind of goes high from there. It's really exponential. So that's something that we're noticing at Raykin, especially with as we continue to expand our product line, and seeing tremendous growth with the use of dailies, super dailies, time cards, and some of the new features that we're looking to roll out in the coming years. When I joined, I noticed that one of the really cool things about our app was it's super simple and easy to use. And that's why we had some really good traction. And our focus was very singular at that point, which is daily reports. I also realized that there were other solutions out there that did daily reports. And the unique advantage that we had was it was simple and it was mobile friendly. But we weren't yet the best. We were good enough, but not the best at that point. And to be the best, you really have to capture the entire workflow. So dailies are not just done in silos. They're not just done by general contractors and just by subcontractors. On a project, A general contractor does it, subcontractor does it, but a GC is responsible for the collection of those daily reports. So what we did was introduce this feature called Super Daily, where where the GC can purchase Raken, and then they can invite all of their subcontractors for free. We made it free because we realized that there's natural friction between a GC and sub, and we didn't want that friction in terms of payment. So we want to make it free for the sub so that they can use it, and also the GC can get value out of it. So now what happens is the GC can do his daily reports, the subs can do theirs, and at the end of the day, we'll automatically collect, collate, and combine all those daily reports so that it's accessible for the general contractor. So as a GC now, you can see everybody's daily reports. So you can see the you can see the mechanical, the plumber, the electrical, the drywall guy, the concrete guy, all of their dailies without you actually doing it for them or double entering their dailies themselves. It's done automatically by those respective subcontractors. Those subs can also leverage it now because now they have these dailies that they can share with their own project members and give visibility to their offices as well. The cool thing is now you've got information for the entire project for every single day. So let's say there's a dispute or claim later down the road, you're not sifting through binders, you can actually access them through our web app, search for keywords, and be ready for that claim or be ready for that dispute, because all that information is readily available within Raken. Once we kind of rolled out Super Daily, we noticed we had a lot of subcontractor participation just because we were giving free seats to the subs. One of the things that subs brought up was, we want to be able to do time cards. And we saw that time and time again because when we'd review their dashboards and their dailies, we'd see them take photos of their paper time cards in Raken, just because it was a way for them to distribute that information to their office. So we looked at that workflow in depth and worked on it, did some research, and came up with time cards. And this allowed for the subcontractors to purchase Raken as well for their own projects, to capture time. And we've seen it be probably the #1 feature since we've released it. It's heavily used within Raken, and we're looking to expand upon that more and more. So we're getting feedback as you guys are using it and improving on that functionality. So what we've seen is kind of Raken transition from a simple mobile app to a collaborative, robust daily reporting solution to now a daily reporting, time card, photo management solution. But one of the key things that we've kept constant is the main focus on the superintendent. The workflows that we're capturing now and the workflows we'll capture in the future will always have that superintendent foreman in the forefront. We want to make sure that we address their needs, the workflows that they initiate, that they're responsible for, while we also help improve the flow of information from the field to the office. So the dailies would give visibility back to the PMs, execs, and the owners on what's happening. The time cards give visibility back to the estimator on how they're doing on their cost codes, give accessibility to the payroll admin so that they can process their payroll quickly. So that's our focus, foreman, superintendent first, and then help improve the flow of information from the field to the office. We initially started with daily reports and then Super Daily, but when you kind of take a step back, the focus was always on the superintendent foreman. So yes, we were best of breed when it came to the workflow. The only thing that's changed is going from best of breed for the workflow, we're going best of breed for the persona. In this case, the persona is the foreman superintendent. And that's been our primary persona since day one. So in that aspect, nothing's really changed. It's just what we call best of breed. It's best of breed from a workflow. Now we're actually best of breed persona. Just because if you're a superintendent foreman, we realize since there's so many solutions that are out there, it can be challenging to use multiple solutions. And what we wanted to do was focus in on that persona and, hey, what are you guys doing? And what we realized was that they were using us for daily reports and now time cards, but they were still going through paper workflows or using some other technologies out there for their other workflows. And the feedback from them was, hey, we'd prefer if we could just use one solution for the things that we do. And that's kind of where we're shifting our focus. So it's still going to be simple, easy to use, just because these foremen and superintendents know these workflows intimately, and we create the workflow that kind of mimics that paper process, but removes all the barriers that come with paper. and make it super simple and easy. So I would say we've just kind of shifted from best of breed workflow, which was our initial focus, and now it's just best of breed persona, foreman, superintendent, which has always been our focus.